Okay, we're going to continue to read today. We just got done shooting the last part of our promotional video that we're making. It's about a probably 2.5, 3 minute video that's going to circulate to a bunch of people that are looking to hire me to give talks, and I'm very excited about that. That was a lot of fun making. I'm getting used to be able to talk a little bit more about myself because I'm finding out the more people it helps, the more I'm able um, the more I'm able to open up because I'm finding out it's really helping people, and that makes all the difference in the world to me. So we are on chapter 18, titled Experts. And the quote here is, "I, not events, have the power to make me happy or unhappy today. I can choose which it shall be. Yesterday is dead, tomorrow hasn't arrived yet. I have just one day, today, and I'm going to be happy in it." Groucho Marx. I do not believe that life's challenges are supposed to paralyze you. Instead, I believe they exist to help you learn, grow, and discover who you are. I rarely feel anxious anymore, but when those situations do present themselves, I prefer to use the term uncomfortable in its place. I hate to use the word anxious. I have accepted that anxiety and panic will never leave me completely, which is why I keep my toolbox near at all times. The tools need to become part of your daily experience and routine as they have done for me. I have always told my kids that life doesn't come with instruction manuals. Anyone is qualified to offer advice on any problem and share an opinion, and there are opinions out there at every turn. We live in a very noisy world. It's important to figure out in life who you should listen to and who you can trust. For me, in business and in life, I have always valued the opinions from those who have been there and done it. I don't want to learn simply about going through the motions. I want to know about the emotional parts too. I want to hear what it truly feels like to go through all the glorious success and heartbreaking setbacks. Using the analogy of baseball, it's like an all-star slugger who goes through a terrible slump and hires a batting instructor who wasn't even good enough to make it to the minors. Even if it's great advice, how can that hitter trust it? But if that hitting instructor happens to be a Hall of Fame slugger who is sitting on 30 years of professional baseball experience, the hitter would be foolish to disregard the opportunity to learn from the depth of his advice and his experiences. So yes, I believe that living for 40 years with anxiety and panic attacks qualifies me as an expert. To go through what I have experienced and to achieve the success I have qualifies me, at least in my opinion, to mentor others, if nothing else. Recently, baseball superstar Curt Schilling got in trouble for sending a controversial tweet, and he was suspended from his baseball analyst job at ESPN. Whether you like or dislike Schilling's political views, there is no doubt he offers a compelling, unique insight into the game of baseball. He has seen it all: American League, National League playoffs, World Series awards, championships, delivering insight from a place of 100% experience. Schilling was replaced by another ESPN analyst, Olympic softball star Jessica Mendoza, an extremely talented broadcaster, an athlete in her own right. As I watched and listened to the game that night, I was immediately struck by Mendoza's own depth of insight and analysis. She was great, but for me, it just wasn't the same. Mendoza never took the mound in a World Series game, and even when I agreed with her opinions or felt I learned something from her insight, it just didn't carry the same weight. When reading books by experts on agoraphobia and panic attacks, I have the same problem. Many of those books are written by professionals and doctors who have spent their lives studying this condition, but have never actually experienced any of it for themselves. And believe me, I've read and read and read and read and read. I read everything I can get my hands on. But unless the book was written by someone who could express and describe the same feelings I was experiencing, I had trouble identifying and accepting any of the advice they offered. Today, when I speak to groups of people about agoraphobia, I could see them slide forward to the edge of the seat. I could see them hanging on my every word. It's when I know I've reached them. They are suffering, and they now must know exactly how I got from where I was back then to where I am now. I recently read that there are therapy dogs that have been placed in select airports to help ease the anxiety of people who are afraid to fly. This got me thinking that I needed to explain the difference between a common fear or phobia and agoraphobia. I find that I am still uncomfortable when flying and still uncomfortable when I have to speak in front of a group. But notice I use the word uncomfortable and not the word afraid. When you have a fear of spiders or a fear of lightning, these are fears or phobias that can both pinpoint and you can work on. It's when you are afraid to leave your own home and afraid of everything outside of it, it reaches you a point that is debilitating. It's not one particular phobia. It's an irrational fear of all places outside your safe place. It can't be pinpointed in the same way, and that sucks. Life may not come with an instruction manual, but I wanted this book to become as close to one for overcoming agoraphobia as possible. If it helps, picture me sitting across from you, face to face, looking back into your eyes. As we connect, I will share the feelings I've experienced through my own healing thought process. As you listen to my advice, understand it comes from a lifetime of positive and negative moments. Real experience. There is no need to go alone via trial and error, as I did. Let's do this together. That, to me, is my most important chapter. It's chapter 18, and that surmises everything that I'm trying to do here is to get you to trust. It also tells the story of what I tell everybody at my talks. Every book I've ever read is fantastic. Every book I've ever read, a clinical book I've ever read on anxiety, on panic, on fear, on what it does to your body, physically, emotionally, how your brain, I get it. There is no book. There was once a weather, there was a newscaster. I don't go back and fix these videos, so I'm sorry. If I make a mistake, this tells you hopefully even more about me. It's vulnerability, and it shows that I'm not perfect. Never claimed to be. But there was a newscaster very recently who had a proverbial panic attack on TV. I'm not questioning whether he had a panic attack. I'm questioning what he did after it. All of a sudden, this very well-known broadcaster is making a lot of money going on tour, quit his day job, going on tour, and telling people how he overcame his panic attack. Truth is, and he tells the story, he had one panic attack. Well, I can pretty much tell you I know people, 200 to 300 to 400 people that have had panic attacks. But you notice I'm using the word panic attack. I never knew it was called a panic attack. I had this in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And by that time, it was full-blown agoraphobia. And I am going to say this. Yes, I had it a hell of a lot worse than this gentleman had. And I've had it a hell of a lot worse than a lot of people that have written about it had. And it does bother me when I read and this person is giving advice on how to get rid of the panic attacks. Because it's vanilla. Okay, it's vanilla. And if it helps the people out there, I'm happy. Okay, I'm happy. Thank God. I think that's wonderful. This book is supposed to hit you emotionally. This book is supposed to hit you in the gut. It's supposed to knock you over the head with a sledgehammer, and you're going to understand, holy crap, this guy really, really had this. I have to listen to how he got through it. And not only that, it's supposed to inspire you. You're supposed to trust and educate and inspire with this book. That's what this book, and I call it my business card, is supposed to do, and is apparently doing very well at that. So that's one of the most important chapters because that tells exactly what I'm trying to do with this book. Going forward, you're going to read about my healing thought process, and this is my toolbox. Thank you.